Hey guys, this is AC Lock here, and this is Building a Lifestyle Business. This is the podcast where we get to meet some of the people that are licensed affiliates with Soft Wash Systems. And this week here, we're going to be talking to Jesus Gonzalez. He's got Xtreme Soft Wash. It's down in basically the Miami, Florida area. It's got a good little business going on down there. And we just want to dig in and delve into your entrepreneurial journey and why you got into soft washing and what you're trying to accomplish and what does building a lifestyle business mean to you. So I just want to say thanks for being on the podcast today, Jesus, and welcome.
Thank you for having me, AC.
Yeah. So tell me just a little bit about you, of course, your wife, your business, but really your family. What is the personal information on Jesus? And, not the business junk. We're going to get into the business junk. Tell us about you and your family.
I've been with my wife now for 7 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually started the business 5 years ago.
Yeah. And so you have some kids, right?
Yep, we got five kids.
5 kids. Yeah. And so, you're in that period now that you have a family and your kids are getting older. They're teenage years. And I think you kind of.
I've got 3 teenagers and 2 adults.
Yeah. And so you got a kind of a pre-made family going too when you marry Jenny, correct?
Yep, correct.
Yeah. And so that takes up a lot of your time having kids. And so being an entrepreneur and having a family is a bit of a time crunch. Tell us a little bit about how you juggle all this stuff.
I don't even know how I do it. I just managed to do it. I don't even know how I do it.
Well, I know you're pretty good, man. And it's kind of, raw energy and determination sometimes. And you just kind of push your way through it.
Basically.
Yeah. And and it can be stressful sometimes. I know, you've had some tests run and you've had a little bit of health issues and you're starting to figure out you're not Superman. You're not the Man of Steel anymore. And so you're trying to balance all this stuff.
I used to be Superman, not no more.
Not no more. Yeah. So that changes things sometimes and it makes you start thinking about it. Yeah. So what are some of the changes you're trying to make with your health? Because like I'm diabetic. I got diagnosed about 20 years ago now and coming up on 20 years. And it's, some big life changes. Tell us about some of the life changes you're having to make.
I've cut out the caffeine.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to quit my smoking. Still have not succeeded on that side.
Yeah. Are you at least cutting back some on the smoking?
I've cut back a little bit. Just not enough where I want to be. Not where I want to be yet, but.
Yeah. No use building a lifestyle business if you're not going to be around.
Exactly.
So you gotta make sure that you take care of yourself, and you got Jenny, you got the kids, you got a family, you've got, relatives, you got your team members that are counting on you. So, making sure that your health is taken care of is real important.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So, here you are. You've of course started this cleaning business. You've got Xtreme Soft Wash down there in Miami. And the area of Miami you're covering Miami's a really big city. So tell us a little bit about what area of Miami that you cover.
I'm basically covering all of Miami.
Mm-hmm. But I know you're primarily kind of down in that southeast corner.
I'm primarily I'm in the southwest section of Miami. Towards like Palmetto Bay, Pinecrest area, Coral Gables, but we venture out into the other parts of Miami as well.
Yeah, because a lot of people when they think about Miami, they think about Homestead almost all the way up to Fort Lauderdale, and they don't realize it's it starts about Homestead and it's concrete almost until you hit West Palm Beach, and that whole Southeast Florida area is just massive down there, and there's just so much down there. Yeah. Now, what a lot of people don't know about you is I'm sure they could tell that you're of Hispanic heritage, but you are Cuban descent, and even Jenny's of Cuban descent. Tell us a little bit about, because Cubans are different from Puerto Ricans, are different from Mexicans. Their culture is different. just a lot of the things, some of the food is different and everything else. It's kind of cool when you get somebody of a different ethnicity, on a podcast like this, because, I'm just a white bread white boy. I've got some Indian in me, not Indian like, hello, my name is Mr. Patel. No, not that kind of Indian. I'm Comanche Indian in me. So I've got a little bit of ethnicity in me, but I'm not in touch with, I don't go to like Indian functions or have any Indian relatives. Not in touch with my heritage. And I really think it's kind of cool when you got somebody that's still pretty in touch with their heritage, and even in Miami lives in a little bit of a macro community of still people that come from Cuba. Tell us a little bit about what it means being Cuban, and really the entrepreneurial spirit that's in Cubans, which I think is pretty cool.
What to say about that? Don't know what to say there. I was born here, I was born here. I'm technically American, but
Mm-hmm.
Cuban background. And then Jenny was born in Cuba, and she came as a little girl.
Mm-hmm. So you're first generation, and she's
Yep.
of Cuban birth in the States here, and so it's kind of cool. Sometimes I notice that with different immigrant groups, that the first generation still has that kind of incredible work ethic. Their family came to the country either because they want a better life or political persecution or whatever that they want to come to the States for. And so they've got a really good work ethic. Then they come to the States. Usually the first generation still has that strong work ethic, which I've watched you just you're a force of nature on stuff, and you work very, very hard, and you've got a great work ethic. But then it seems to second generation and third generation kind of dwindle away. Why do you think that
They
might?
dropped down. They dropped down. I don't know why that is, but it does. As you go in generations, it dwindles down for some reason.
Yeah, and it might be because we make it too good on our kids. Do you think that might be something to do with it?
That could be possible.
Yeah. And life becomes easy for them.
Now, when everything's handed to you, then it's
Yeah.
real easy for you not to have to do the things to achieve, your goals.
So your parents came over from Cuba and started a life here in the States, and probably didn't have a lot. I mean, you don't come from a
No,
wealthy family. And
not at all.
so tell me about growing up Cuban, and that probably didn't have a lot. You're trying to earn, you're trying to make your American dream happen, and your parents are doing that, and you're seeing that. How did that influence the way that you think?
Basically, the way I've always felt as a kid is, I need to do something to better, better myself and make enough money to have a nice lifestyle in the end game, and have a nice retirement when I
Mm-hmm.
retire.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I struggle like my parents struggled throughout the years.
Right. And so when you talk about your parents struggled and you've struggled throughout the years, what do you think the struggle does to you? How does it shape you?
It makes you want more.
Mm-hmm.
Makes you want to grow more and get more out of life. Where when things are handed to you, you achieve those goals. You don't have any expectations of getting anywhere.
Maybe don't appreciate it as much either.
Yep.
Yeah.
Better said that way. Yes.
Yeah. And so, I'm from Miami. I grew up in Biscayne Gardens, which is a little bit north of you there, and a little northeast of you there, a little closer to the coast. And of course, I had a lot of friends that were Cuban, a lot of friends that were not so many Puerto Ricans, some more Haitians, of course, Anglos. It was really interesting going and visiting my other friends' houses, and you would see how they treated their property and they treated the things that they were able to get. It was hard to get things, and so when you work
Yep.
hard for something and you appreciate it, you really, really take care of it. And for me, growing up, by and large Anglo. I mean, I do have other backgrounds in me, it is interesting. I mean, I've got a leg up because I was an entrepreneur's kid. My dad was an entrepreneur's kid. I'm a third generation entrepreneur. That kind of gives me my edge. And I honestly think because of a lot of Cubans, excuse me, that I've known over the years, I've seen an entrepreneurial thread running through the Cuban community. That might have a little bit to do in my very narrow understanding of communism over in Cuba and the government kind of taking care of people, but you had to have a side hustle to really live well in Cuba. So that means almost every family had a side hustle. So that made people very entrepreneurial. And then when they come here to the United States with the freedoms of the United States, they do really well. So I've just watched that stuff, and I've watched you, and you work very hard. And I just wanted to point out to people here on the podcast that immigrants make the United States strong, and it's really cool when we have immigrants here. And we've always talked about the United States being a melting pot, and every society brings in good stuff. But just like the point we made earlier, we talked about when you're bringing up your kids, don't make life too good on them. Let them struggle.
No, you can't.
Yeah,
you can't do that. You got to make them struggle.
Yeah, for sure. All right, cool. So you got a family. You're here in the States. You're first generation Cuban, and you decided that you wanted to be an entrepreneur. But like you said, you only started this business about 5 years ago. What did you do before you got into soft washing?
Before I got into soft washing, I was actually working for a company selling over the phone.
Okay, doing telesales.
Telesales, which I did not like at all.
Mm-hmm.
I made money. I was good at it. I just didn't like it.
Right.
And before that, I've had other service companies prior to that.
So tell me some of the other service companies that you had prior to that.
I used to own a landscaping company.
Mm-hmm.
And then I sold that one, and then I opened up a curbing company.
Curbing?
Yep, the landscape curbing.
Oh, okay. So you had one of those machines that you put concrete in the hopper and you went around the landscape beds and put those curbs in?
Yep.
Cool. I didn't know that about you.
Yep, I had one of those.
Well, hey, I got a little project up here in Orlando for you.
I don't know. I can still do it. I don't own any of the equipment, though. That's the problem.
Yeah. So you did landscaping, you did curbing, you did telephone sales, and then it sounds like you were entrepreneurial. You owned a couple businesses, and then for whatever reason, you got out of those businesses and you said, "I'm going to go get a job, a job," and that didn't suit you. Why didn't that not suit you?
Nah, not built for corporate America.
Well, go deeper than that. Turn that into a conversation instead of a statement.
I've never been able to. For some reason, I've never been able to handle having a boss over me telling me what to do and what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
I've always wanted to be the one in charge.
Okay. And do you think that has a little bit to do with your DISC assessment, or?
Possibly, yes.
Yeah, because I think you're a DI on your DISC assessment, correct?
A CDI.
You're a CDI. Wow. Holy smokes. Okay.
Yep.
So that you must have really had ants in your pants sitting in a room trying to do telesales.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Because C's, when you're on that CD side, that you're that alt task side, locking somebody up in a room and having them talk to people on a phone was probably like Chinese water torture.
Oh, I hated it. I couldn't stand it.
Yeah. And so, so you how long did you do the telesales for?
I did that for almost a year.
Okay. And so, what got you out of that, or what made you transition then? Was soft washing the next thing you did, or was there something in between?
No, soft washing was the next thing I did. I actually woke up one day and decided I don't want to be here no more. I've got to do something different. And that's when I decided, well, maybe we should go into pressure cleaning.
Mm-hmm.
Started looking into that, and then I happened to run into videos of you on a roof
Mm-hmm.
in your white suit.
Yes. The steak puff marshmallow man.
Yep, there you go. And that's when I decided, okay, instead of pressure cleaning, I want to do soft washing. And then I branded, ma- put the company name out to Xtreme Soft Wash
Mm-hmm.
from the get go. And then little by little, started this basically with no money. And little by little, started buying equipment and buying things and adding more and growing.
So now, did you just quit your job and start doing it, or did you do it some on the side and eventually quit the
Nope, I
job?
just quit my job.
You just cold turkey, just quit your job.
Yep. I just cold turkey quit my job and decided that's it. Today's my last day. This is what we're going into. What do I need to get started? Let's get what I need to get started and let's get started.
Hmm. So, for people that are on the call like this, people are like, oh, what did you do? I mean, you quit cold turkey. How did you get revenues going? Now, Jenny, she's got a job. She's a teacher, right?
Correct.
Yeah. And so,
But I did not use any of her money. I didn't count on her income.
but you didn't have to worry about not eating, right?
Correct.
Yeah, yeah. And then Jenny probably has health insurance and stuff like that from the school.
Well, she does. She has it available. She doesn't use it.
Okay. Oh, wow. Yeah. So there you go. There's that immigrant, hey, we're going to make things happen. I mean, yeah. Some of the Cubans, and I don't know if your family was like this, but there are some Cubans that jump on a boat or a raft and just come to Florida through the tides and row their way across the Florida Straits. And that almost seems like, kind of like what you did. You said, I'm not going to be at this job anymore. I'm going to quit it and I'm going to move forward. And you just jumped in and started moving forward.
That's basically what I did.
So that's cool. That's cool. So was it scary at first? And how did it go?
I started setting it up before I left, before I quit my job.
Mm-hmm.
I put ads out and whatnot before 30 days before. Like I started planning it, put ads out, started getting jobs, booking jobs before before I even had a truck or equipment to even start.
Right.
So
you're
my start date.
Pre-selling even before you had equipment.
Yep.
And so you mentioned on your telemarketing job that you were good at it. So you were good at sales. So you had a certain level of confidence that if you could at least get the phone ring and get in front of people, you could sell them a cleaning job. Correct?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Even when I had my lawn care and my landscaping company, I had the same thing.
Yeah.
I could always sell them.
So how did that go? How many leads did you get at first? How quickly did it take to kind of get momentum? Tell us about those first several months.
If I tell you, I didn't really keep a track of the actual numbers.
Right.
Because I wasn't following numbers back then.
Sure.
But I was busy enough to be able to quit my, not have to worry about depending on a job. Even though my first month of business is when I had my accident.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to be basically on bed rest for about 3 months.
Mm.
And I was still just doing the sales over the phone. And then I had 2 guys running the truck.
Okay, so another little, as we're peeling back the layers here of the onion, you mentioned your accident. So you started a business and within a short period of time, you had an accident. What happened?
I was actually cleaning a roof and I was I was walking back to the ladder, missed a spot, and I turned around to spray it and I slipped. Instead of letting myself fall, I jumped, and that's when I shattered my ankle.
And so you've just started this business, and now you're on, 2 to 3 months of bed rest, keeping weight off that ankle so that ankle can heal up. And so that was a setback then.
Yes, it was. But I was actually, Jenny actually wanted me to close the business when that happened.
Really?
I actually told her I'm not doing that. I kept on doing the sales again over the phone. And I wasn't doing any estimates in person. Everything was over the phone, basically. And I had 2 guys in the truck going out and doing the jobs.
Wow. So that's that tenacity. Most people can't, they want to be an owner operator and they stay on the truck and it's very hard for them to get off the truck. And, you are thrusted into that. And have you ever heard the saying, especially in the theater world, they'll say, "Hey, go break a leg."
Yep.
You ever heard that saying?
Yes, I have.
Yeah. And so, yeah. And people say it like success to you. "Hey, go break a leg." But where the origins of where that comes from is like your accident is that when you break your leg, you can't rely 100% on yourself anymore. You have to rely on the cast to help carry you. And so you do
Yep.
things as a team. So what you did is in business, if you were to look at somebody and say, "Hey, go break a leg," you might say that to like a entrepreneur. There's a fledgling entrepreneur that's stuck in the owner operator rut and isn't getting off the truck to move to do higher and better things for their company. A blessing on them, it might be to say to somebody, "Hey, go break a leg." And the literal translation would be, "Go break a leg so that you can't clean anymore, so that you'll focus on sales and put people in the truck." And so that literally happened to you. And how did that go?
That actually did not go bad.
Yeah.
I was still pretty busy. I was still pretty busy doing, selling over the phone, having the two guys out there. I had issues at times where I had to get somebody to drive me to the job site whenever the system went down.
Sure.
I would have to climb in the back of the truck and fix the equipment. One leg just hanging out without being able to put weight on my leg.
Just one leg hanging out.
Yep.
That's funny. So, okay. So you started this business and everything else because you wanted a better life, especially for you, being a Cuban immigrant, first generation American Cuban. This starting a business for a better life means probably more to you than anybody else. So tell me about, what does building a lifestyle business mean to you?
To me, it building the business to be able to function on its own.
Mm-hmm.
Have a whole team out there that's doing everything. Where I'm not the owner operator anymore. I'm the owner investor. Where eventually I can actually retire
Mm-hmm.
and have this be my retirement. Basically, this is basically my 401k nest egg.
Right.
Since not working for corporate America, I don't have the 401k luxury. This way, I can still have a retirement. Something happens to me, God forbid, something happens to me. Jenny and the kids are still taken care of, where the company can still run without
Mm-hmm.
them having to be barely involved.
Right. Yes. Yeah. So whether you build it up and sell it and cash in like you would a 401k, or you build it up and it operates without you having to be involved day to day, you could retire off of the company that way. Or in a, really kind of sad scenario to talk about, but we all have to think about these things when we're, building our assets in our life. What would happen to us if we had a heart attack or got in a car accident, or, God forbid something happened to us and we died. And how can we take care of our family? So you have a business that's an asset now that hopefully you can, at minimum, Jenny could sell the business. Or possibly if you get it to the point where it's really running itself well and it doesn't take a lot of management, you've got a team in place, then of course Jenny and hopefully the kids will all be out on their own eventually, but Jenny would be taken care of because the business would still pay her a paycheck and the business would continue on. And so that's really what you're working on. Your lifestyle business for you is really building that security of knowing that you can retire one day, or if something happens to you, the business has value to it to take care of Jenny.
Correct.
Yeah. So that's cool. All right. So when in this entrepreneurial journey and all, when did you discover soft wash systems? You mentioned you saw the videos. How far in were you on the business when you saw the videos, and when did you actually engage soft wash systems?
I was actually in the planning stage of what I was going to do
Okay.
when I ran into soft washing. Started doing research on soft washing, which is when I saw your video.
Mm-hmm.
And that was even before I even opened my doors.
Wow.
And then I found, once I opened my doors, I actually found somebody selling a used equipment here
Hmm.
locally, a Blend 50 at that time.
Right.
So that's why basically what I bought it used and put it in the back of the truck, and that's what we were using at the very beginning.
And so, yeah, that got you in the business easily, and you found the used piece of equipment that was a soft wash systems piece of equipment that
Yep.
allowed you to join the network and become a licensed affiliate. And then sometime down the road, you decided to jump in even deeper and get a new system and all. How long did it take for you to kind of bootstrap this business along before you were able to get a full blown cradle skid in the back of a truck and do a truck wrap and kind of get that first truck together like we see that great brand that you have there with Xtreme Soft Wash? When did that really all gel together?
All of that actually, I went building up, and that basically happened when I had the time to pause and start doing all my training, which was
Mhm.
during the pandemic in 2020. That's when I had the downtime. Everything was shut down. I'm like, okay, let me take my downtime and do the courses online and get all my training in and
Mhm.
join Soft Wash Systems. That's when I became an affiliate, a Soft Wash Systems affiliate. Before that, I did it with no training.
Right.
Now I have the training to do it. School of Hard Knocks, basically just watching YouTube videos is how I learned to begin with.
And so from the time you started the business to the time you know that the pandemic was in 2020, what year did you start the business?
2018.
2018. So you were doing it for about 2 years, bootstrapping along, used piece of equipment, making some money, building your revenues, and then you were finally able to jump in and do it seriously right around the pandemic.
That's when I joined Soft Wash Systems. I actually the original truck. Did some upgrades to my system, and it took me another year to be able to buy it. I bought it on another company that was
Mm-hmm.
closing out, so I bought all their equipment, and then I bought another truck, wrapped that one as well, and had the second truck up and going. And then at that point, I parked the first truck to eventually rebuild it, which now
Mm-hmm.
I've turned that one into a sales vehicle.
Yes.
And now we still have a skid sitting to get rebuilt to put on the next truck.
Cool. So that's very, very cool. All right. So you've got a full-time truck, you got a sales vehicle, you've got an extra skid here. I know you this year were able to get your office warehouse combo. And I know that hasn't been easy. That's a big step sometimes making that. We're in a presidential election year right now, and the
Yep.
economy has gotten very fudgy. And you've made some big moves and got a facility, and you're trying to take all the ground that you've captured and hold that together to get past this presidential election, to get back to greener pastures again. That was that. Those are some big moves, and it's tough to do that stuff sometimes. Tell us about that.
Basically just putting money away, putting money away and putting money away and getting things done. And even though people are telling me don't do it yet, I've pulled the trigger and done things
Yeah,
to grow and keep growing.
yeah. And those are big decisions, bold decisions sometimes to make. I know for me this past year, I was on a call earlier just before yours, and the person I was talking to was like, "Yeah, I brought my guy with me to the 5-star retreat last year, and AC last July, you sat there and told everybody this is exactly when things are going to happen next year, and this is why they're going to happen, and the economy is going to slow down, and inflation is going to go up, and this is going to happen, that is going to happen." And he was like, "Man, he was just telling me yesterday, like you were a prophet. All the stuff that you said is happening." And it's funny, it's guys like you and I, we know the rough seas are coming, but we still make the bold moves sometimes. And I know for me, I've got, we launched Soft Wash Services this year. We actually grew and did some investments into disruptor manufacturing. Yeah, I went out and I invested over $500,000 in my businesses knowing this slowdown was going to hit, because I want to make sure that when it picks back up, when the slowdown kills off all of the weaker companies, I want to be prepared and ready to go out there and gather up all of the demand out there that the other companies were filling, that they're not there anymore to fill. And I know that you've made some big moves. For me, I'm trying to keep my arms around everything and not give up any of the ground I gained this last year, and you are too. So we've still got a pretty tough few months ahead of ourselves, getting to November and hopefully to a positive result in politics to where it will benefit us economically. But that can be a struggle sometimes. And tell us a little bit about your vision or your plans or what you're doing to get through to November. It's kind of timely for us to talk about this.
Yeah, I've tried right now to cut back some of the expenses, as if we have slowed down right now. So I've cut back some of the expenses to kind of keep us afloat,
Mm-hmm.
to get us back on, once we get back on flow again, pick everything back up again where we were,
Right.
and trying to hold ground at the same time and not downsize.
Right. Yeah, there's a big difference between cutting expenses and downsizing. Downsizing
Trying
is
not to downsize.
caving your business in. Cutting expenses is, well, let me, I still want to drive the bus. I don't want to buy an economy car. I still want to drive the bus. I'll just drive the bus a little slower so I can still keep my bus.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. And you have to have some good raw mental fortitude for that.
Of course.
Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So you talked about retirement and everything else. Let's talk about here as we close up, because this business is supposed to be the engine, the vehicle to help you achieve your life's goals and dreams. We're building a lifestyle business here. Tell us some of those crazy things that you want to accomplish in life, places you want to go, things that you're hoping that this business is going to give you.
Places I want to go, actually want to travel, do some traveling out of the country,
Mm-hmm.
go on a cruise, and hopefully buy some land elsewhere and have somewhere to travel back and forth with.
Yeah.
Maybe a couple of different locations with different branches.
Yeah. So you say buy some land elsewhere. Where's a cool place that you've been that you're like, man, I'd really like to stay here X number of months out of the year?
Well, one of the places where I used to live at before, up in Cape Coral, Fort Myers area.
Mm-hmm.
Another area that I'm looking at is in Tennessee.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Tennessee is very, very nice. What areas of Tennessee do you like?
It's right outside of it's like 10 minutes from Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
It's called I forgot the name of the town now.
Franklin or?
No, it's not Franklin. It's
Murfreesboro.
I forgot.
Is it towards the mountains? Is it where it's a little more hilly and mountainous and?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's a little more openness in that area still.
Yeah, a little more country. Developed. Yeah. Yep. A little more room for sure. Yeah, I'd certainly like to do that too. My wife and I, we like to travel and it'd be nice to have an alternate place to go to. One day I want to be able to get a place over on Mosquito Lagoon. That doesn't sound like a very inviting place, Mosquito Lagoon, but it's a beautiful area of Florida where the fishing's really good. And I'd love to have a house right there on the water. And when I go into my major book writing phase, when I retire at 60 is the plan. That's what my wife has made me promise, is to slow down and just get to a point where I'm writing books all day, fishing in the morning, fishing in the evening, writing books in the middle of the day. Is find that little place over in Mosquito Lagoon, and that would be fun to do. But that's the reason why we do the things that we do. Is if we wanted to have a job and just get a paycheck and just live in one house and not that there's anything wrong with that for a lot of people, but there's something wrong with that for us, right?
Of course.
Yeah, it just feels weird. We want to do a little more with our lives. And we don't judge other people for not doing more with their lives. It's not what we're trying to do. What we're trying to do is we're just trying to say, for us, we can start a business, we can work hard for a while, we can build something up, and then we can have a little more one day if we watch our money and we're good stewards of what we've been blessed with. And one day we can, like you said, go on a cruise, go on some vacations, travel outside of the country, have that second home. That would be really fun.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah. Very, very cool. Well, awesome. Well, listen, Jesus, I've always loved your brand. I've got a hat and a shirt of yours, and I love the blue and the orange. Even though I'm not a Gators fan, it's not the same blue and orange as the Gators. I always get people when they see the blue and the orange, they go, "Oh man, is it Gators colors?" No, they're not Gators colors.
No, down here,
wash colors.
Down here, when they see the trucks or even the uniform, all they think is NASCAR.
Yeah, NASCAR. It has a very racy theme to it, but but you've built a great brand, you're building a great company, you've bootstrapped it along the way. You basically planned it while working a job, quit that job, started it, with very little to no money, and just built it little by little by little. And there's something very admirable to be said about that. And I think you've got a little bit of a secret weapon in that you're first generation immigrant, especially Cuban. I think it gives you a certain amount of tenacity. That's the word, that T word, that even when things suck, I can tell with you when I have conversations with you, we talk quite a bit. Even when things suck, you're like, it sucks right now, but I'm gonna pull my way through it. And you just have that natural grit to you.
Somehow, some way, we get by it.
Yep. Somehow, some way, we always get by. That is for sure.
Yep.
That is for sure. Well, very, very cool. Well, thanks for being on the podcast. And is there anything last that you'd like to say that I didn't cover or anything?
No, I think we covered pretty much everything there.
Good. Awesome. Well, hey guys, this is Jesus Gonzalez, Xtreme Soft Wash. He's one of our licensed affiliates of Soft Wash Systems. He's down in Miami, Florida. If you got any cleaning needs done in Miami, Florida, give him a call. It's really, really easy to find him. Just go to softwashsystems.com/locations, and you can go ahead and find his place on the map there and bless him with some business. But other than that, we're just trying to bring you guys stories of other people, other contractors out there all around the world that are just trying to build a business to improve their lifestyle, to help them achieve their life's goals and dreams. And, it's really sometimes nothing more than that. It's nothing more than that. We don't want to have a job. We don't want to have, like Jesus said, a boss. Jesus says, I'm just not built to have a boss.
Nope.
And so we just want to build something that's ours, that we own, that we can wrap our arms around, that it does well or it fails based on the sweat of our own brow. And at the end of the day, we own it, and it propels us and gives us the income that we need to achieve our life's goals and dreams and take care of our families. And that's what building a lifestyle business is all about. Thank you so much again, Jesus.
Thank you, AC.
All right. We'll see you guys at the next podcast. This is AC Locke here. See you later.